So I've just raced home from dropping the boys at school and at daycare, and I was about to film like a little making myself a cuppa B-roll intro in my perfectly spotless kitchen. But the reality of my kitchen is actually this. And in all honesty, the mood that I'm in today is I am so sick of that bullshit. I am so sick of this idea that everything has to be perfect and look perfect. So instead, I'm gonna film this video on why we need to drop all those bullshit expectations as a mum so that we can actually enjoy this stage of life. So welcome to my bomb of a kitchen, what it typically looks like after school drop off. Like, my sink is so full, I can't even fill up my kettle to make a cuppa. It's one of those days. So it's not perfect, but it's heaps better than it was. I at least have some bench space to make coffee. So we'll call that a win. So expectations in motherhood is not at all what I plan to talk about today. In fact, if we look at the plan that I wrote last night, which, is it just me or are you also overly optimistic of an evening time once your children are in bed as opposed to in the morning when you've got the entire day and the entire list of things ahead of you? Whenever I get time, it's like I want to fill it with all the things. Maybe it's because I get so little time that I feel this pressure that when I do have any time, I have to get it all done. And I find once I've done that school drop-off, I come home and I just feel so overwhelmed. Like I set the expectations so high for myself that I almost feel paralyzed and I almost just want to sit on the couch and watch Netflix because it's like, it doesn't feel achievable. So instead of doing this list today, I'm gonna call my own bullshit and drop some of those expectations. And I was thinking, where do we get these expectations from? Like, why do we hold ourselves to such high expectations? And do we? Like, do you hold yourself to such high expectations, or is it just me? Have I set the bar too high and am I pushing myself too hard and expecting too much? I don't know. But I do think there are a few places that we could all just kind of take a bit of a reality check. And I guess that's why I wanted to show you my bomb of a kitchen this morning, because all we see in social media is beautiful, pristine kitchens and white and beige lounge rooms, and everything is in its place and nothing is out of place. And I just want to remind you that this is what my lounge room currently looks like. And this is the reality, not what you see behind me, this carefully curated little corner of my house that looks like everything else is neat. No, this is the reality. And I think it can be helpful to see the reality because then we don't walk into a house and have that immediate feeling of like, I'm really failing at this. Because actually, this is normal when you live with 3 small children, and anything else requires a whole lot of effort and energy. And if that's what your house looks like, great, good on you. That's just not my situation. I work, I have a business, I actually don't like cleaning. The fact that there are toys all over the floor isn't a big deal. Like, my house doesn't have to look like those pristine Instagram images. And while I love interior design, and that's why I follow these accounts, and I love looking at how beautiful they are, sometimes I really just need that reality check of my expectations need to be a whole lot lower for this season of life. My house is just not gonna look like that for any longer than 10 minutes after I clean it. So another area where I think as mums we need to lower our expectations, and this isn't going to apply to everyone because not every mum is also in business or is also working or having a career or has something else going on the side. And the expectations we need to drop here is that we need to be just like killing it on the business front. And I know this because I did this to myself for years. For many years, whilst I had little babies at home, I was looking at other women running their businesses with children thinking, what am I doing wrong? Like, I don't have strong Instagram game. Really, I use Instagram because I like talking to you guys and I don't have the beautiful, perfectly curated feed. I just don't, and it's not me. And I've really come to accept that and to lower the expectations. So if you're also trying to build a business on the side, maybe you've set that expectation for yourself that you don't want to go back to work and you want this business to be something that you can do at home whilst you're raising your kids. It's a really tricky one because there is a timer on that. We only have this short window of time before our kids start school, so it feels like there's a time limit. But I also think it's important to recognize that if you spend all this time while your kids are little pushing and doing all this business stuff, you're not going to enjoy that time anyway. So I really think you need to lower the expectations, and this doesn't mean to give up on your dreams. This doesn't mean to give up on this interest that you have, because I certainly haven't. Like, this is something I have built essentially over the last 8 years, but that doesn't mean I had it sorted out 8 years ago. That didn't mean that I knew it would look like this 8 years ago. It has very much changed and evolved. I've just done little bits as I could when I had the energy of an evening, at nap time, when I could fit it in. And in that way, it's always felt like something I've really enjoyed doing, with the exception of when I try and cram too much into one day. But when I remember that actually this is something I really love, and I just do little bit by little bit, and I drop the expectations of having to have everything perfect, and I drop the expectations of having to have it all scheduled in advance, which my type A personality would love to have done, but my mothering reality doesn't allow. So I need to drop those expectations of having it perfect, having it look like everyone else's business perfection, and just keep doing little bits daily and drop all those heavy expectations of what you think it should look like. So if you're still here, thank you for being present to this rant, which is literally directed at myself and is like a kick up the bum before I start my workday. And before I go, I'd love to know, where in your life have you been putting expectations on yourself that aren't helping, that are just making life feel heavy and hard and make you feel disappointed at the end of the day, instead of what we think they're doing, which is helping us to strive and to do better and to achieve more, which often expectations don't do at all. They just make us feel disappointed when we don't get to them, because too often we set the bar far too high. So if you have expectations in your life, I would love to hear about them in the comments. Thank you as always for being here, and I'll see you in the next video. Namaste.